Welcome to the Mormon News Roundup, your go-to source for the latest headlines and critical analysis on all things LDS.
Breaking news.
Join D-Vay's
Mormon News Roundup.
That's talent on loan from Kolob every Sunday and Monday night.
We will uncover the truth behind the news that matters most to the Mormon community.
And we're back. Mormon News Roundup time. Welcome to the show. It is August 3rd, 2026. This is episode 179. I am your humble host, D-Vay's. That is talent on loan from Kolob. We will be ruminating on the great and spacious beehive. So thanks so much for joining us today. Let's see what's on our inspired agenda here. We're going to be talking about Tim Ballard. He is making the news once again. He's taken off. Wow, where did Timmy go? We will tell you. The Mormon Church has finally recognized a very fundamental reality to its polygamous origins, and it's released new updates to its gospel topics essays. This is a big deal in Mormonism. We'll talk about the LDS Church's growth in Africa. Is it everything that it's cracked up to be? Well, you'll find out if you watch the show. Lindsey Stirling, that famous musician, she's drinking coffee, and believe it or not, this is one of the top stories for the week. 824, that famed movie studio, has released a new Mormon-themed movie trailer. It's called Eternity, and we'll play that for you today. They're following up on their inspired hit Heretic, starring Hugh Grant, which was an absolute smash. And there's been an update to several essay scandals, including the church in Arizona. There's a big update to one of the church's biggest essay scandals for the last couple of years. We're going to tell you all about it. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with the secret lives of Mormon wives. Macy Neely is giving birth to, I believe it is her fourth child. This is a big news article. Let's see what's going on with those scandalous gals over there at the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Biggest fear would be like balancing everything. So we are so incredibly busy. I'm like, how are we adding another kid into this? But I think just excited to welcome a new life on the earth. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like my life is going really good right now.
Macy Neely is officially a mom of three. The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives star and her husband Jacob just welcomed a baby girl.
Okay, third one.
Oh, that's so crazy.
The couple struggled with infertility and shared their IVF journey with fans on the show and on Mom Talk.
We're deciding to put the healthiest embryo in and hope it sticks. Today is transfer day.
See, you're gonna come with your embryo.
The embryo is right in there. Okay.
Oh, crazy. Oh, I'm so excited, baby.
Yeah.
Their big announcement came in February.
3, 2, 1. Wait. Put it to the camera again.
And the gender reveal a few months later in May.
We're literally soul sisters. They're gonna be best friends.
The 30-year-old enjoying the ride with her co-star Michaela. The friends both due with girls just days apart. E.T. was with the ladies, plus a pregnant Jen Affleck back in May. We have to say congratulations to all the mamas who are expecting.
I hope that they can be impacted by our stories. I'm excited for people to get to know us deeper and hopefully be able to relate to some aspect of our story or what we're going through.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Macy told People earlier this year, in terms of symptoms, this quote has probably been the worst of my 3 pregnancies. She says fatigue and nausea took a toll. Then, in her final weeks, high blood pressure.
He scheduled the C-section. I got my ideal date and my ideal time. Oh, he said I gained 5 pounds in the last 2 weeks. I'm like, amazing.
That's what the baby needs.
My husband's super supportive. He's just been a supportive king, so that's all I can ask for. Thanks for being the best.
Macy and Jacob have one other daughter together, 4-year-old Harlow. The father of her 9-year-old son Hudson was killed in a car crash before he was born.
I truly feel like he was my first love, and so it just destroyed me. I don't think I always dealt with my grief.
I don't think you really did deal with it.
It's still hard for me. It still affects me a lot.
Fans became invested in Macy's story starting last year when The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives became one of the most watched non-scripted shows on Hulu. E.T. was invited to her Utah estate before the series premiered.
Thank you so much, Macy, for having us into your beautiful home.
We never saw the pilot before we even did the season, so it was we don't really know. We knew what we were getting into, but it was a good experience for me overall.
Hulu announced a season 3 during the emotional reunion episode in July.
Do you think they had sex? I don't know what to believe. Something feels very off about this. We have a leak in Mom Talk. I'm pissed.
You know nothing. You know nothing.
go watch the show. I can't give anything away. You guys are gonna have to wait and see it.
Wow. That show is so entertaining in some ways. Wow. The Secret Lives. First of all, it's amazing how open they are about their lives. I mean, she's literally, sharing very, very intimate details of her infertility, which is a real struggle a lot for women who have to deal with infertility. It can be very emotional. And you see the emotions that are on their sleeves. Wow. That's absolutely incredible. I have what I call the Bechtel test for the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which is kind of a joke that I have, which is, can they discuss anything on that show besides themselves? And the answer to that clip is no, they cannot. Their lives revolves around them, which I understand. Everybody thinks that their lives revolve around them. I really get that. And of course, we are expecting the season 3 of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. This is a series, of course, that the Mormon Church absolutely detests. They do not like this show. That's an objective fact. Every time that there's an article about this show, the church tries to come out and rebut it and say that these women do not represent Mormon women. Anyway, I'm trying to be faithful on the Mormon News Roundup to what actually leads in the news. And I can tell you how many articles that there were about this pregnancy was absolutely enormous. That's why I'm bringing it to you today, not because I really want to, because obviously this show does not speak to me as a person, but if it does to you, I totally understand. It is certainly entertaining. Tim Ballard, changing gears here, is in the news once again. Is anyone looking for him after we discussed this last week, where his civil lawsuit was thrown out basically on a technicality because of privacy issues? What's going on with Tim Ballard? Let's find out here.
Fraught with religious right-wing grifters, frauds, exploiting women and children. I think we need some good news. So I have some good news today about Tim Ballard, the fraud from The Sound of Freedom. Hot damn, do I have an update. So what does a narcissist like Tim Ballard do when the walls start closing in? He flees to another country and starts the grift over in Argentina. But it just got messy, as Tim, who was thrown out of Operation Underground Railroad, has now teamed up with another group called Aerial Recovery, run by this millionaire named Brittany Turner, who charges like $40,000 a night to recharge at these disaster zones in the British Virgin Islands, and then sends people on rescue missions with zero training. So this org makes my skin crawl. We already know Tim has made a brand of exploiting abused women and children for his heroism. This group is even more in your face about it. So Tim got his new org and is recently been tagging along on real police raids, filming himself, like he's saving the kids, doing his thing. If you ever see Tim Ballard say he saved children in some recent raid, you can bet your bottom dollar that he had nothing to do with that raid, but is taking all the credit. So recently, Argentine officials were like, this dude's a creep. None of this is adding up. So this former Argentine cop named Rodrigo, we love him. Thank you, Rodrigo, opened up a criminal investigation charging Tim with espionage, treason, obstruction. But wait, it gets better. Then 2 survivors of Tim's, we'll call it actions, Celeste and Bree, I love these women. They flew to Argentina and sat down with the national security minister and laid out everything about him. And finally, Argentina believed them. And that's when shit really started to hit the fan. So fast forward to this week, hidden camera footage leaked of Argentina's justice minister literally offering to help Tim Ballard, to help Tim, all on hidden camera, clean up his reputation, promising help from judges, from the media, even a new law base around the Sound of Freedom. Anything Tim Ballard wanted, he just got to go and pillage a country. So the backlash, though, has been swift, and people have been calling for this justice minister's resignation. So Timmy's still out there fighting for his life, posting videos, trying to slander and discredit one of the women who's been opposing him, Sasha Hightower. It's disgusting, but he's running out of place. So he's under investigation in Argentina. He's facing criminal charges in the U.S. and getting caught making up entire operation. His most loyal friends like Glenn Beck and Utah AG Sean Reyes have come out against him, saying that they believe the women. So only fringe followers of conspiracy circles remain supportive on Facebook, basically. There's other suits that are still pending and criminal investigations that are ongoing throughout different states. Justice has been slow. I'm going to say that. Justice has been slow in the United States. Argentina, thanks for picking up our slack. But Tim's fraud is catching up with him in Argentina. This criminal cannot stop criming, so he's going down. Justice is prevailing. I've been moving, and I'm not in my normal home studio to produce a podcast lately, but if you want more, The Opportunist just released a podcast episode on this subject, including interviews with the women. Just wanted to give you all a quick update, so check out The Opportunist for more. In a world fraught with
Very nice, Kara. No one covers Tim Ballard better than Kara Burrell. I still get a lot of comments in my comment sections whenever I talk about Tim Ballard, which talks about how all of these accusations are false, and people seem to be living in a state of denial because Tim Ballard was the poster child of the Mormon priesthood holder, the strong, masculine men saving children from evil. And now it turns out that he's really an incredibly accused sexual abuser, sexual harasser, and absolute grifter, and he's been excommunicated from the church to boot. So Timmy's spectacular rise and his absolute collapse is something that I just can't stop watching. That's really that's what I'm into. So I'm going to be following Kara on this for sure. Nuance Ho. Okay, now another big article. This week started off as a slow week, and it really picked up steam. First of all, the church updated its gospel topics essays, which are on the church's website, which is basically its official stances or quasi-official stances on certain controversial topics, and it updated its gospel topics essays about Joseph Smith practicing plural marriage. And this is the section here says, did Joseph Smith practice plural marriage, or was it introduced by Brigham Young and others? The church is now going to directly answer this question, perhaps for the first time. It says that Joseph Smith introduced the practice, not Brigham Young. Credible contemporary sources document Joseph's practice of plural marriage. Later, many faithful men and women who knew of Joseph's practice of plural marriage gave sworn testimony of it. Rather than deny this historical practice, we can apply the principles outlined in Seeking Answers to Questions to help us better understand it. And this is the most amazing part of this, is that the church is footnoting the Nauvoo Expositor, which was a newspaper that only had one printing back in 1842, run by William Law, which accused Joseph Smith of practicing polygamy and a bunch of other disgusting actions. And now the church is citing the Nauvoo Expositor, which is basically one of the first anti-Mormon publications, at least in Nauvoo. I find that very, very ironic. And this is why Stacker over there on X said, did anyone notice that the church used the Nauvoo Expositor as a footnote? The church deserves credit in this new essay by basically giving credibility to this controversial publication. Also, the footnote is massive. This is a big attempt to squash the polygamy deniers. That is exactly what this is. The church has a schism within its own walls about people who, and we're seeing people being disaffected from the church because they want to prop up the narrative that Joseph Smith was a holy prophet of God and certainly not a child abuser, certainly not someone who would sexually manipulate women and coerce them into plural marriage with him. Of course not. That would be disgusting. So there's been a big schism from the Snufferites, from the Remnant Branch, from Michelle Stone, and all the rest of the polygamy deniers. The church is now confronting that head on, which I find to be very remarkable. Now, I have a couple of reactions here from Nemo the Mormon on this particular topic.
The Mormon Church has just set their stall out on an issue that has been gaining a lot of traction recently. In the Church and Gospel Questions section of the website, they have just stated very clearly that Joseph Smith introduced the practice of polygamy, not Brigham Young. They also say credible contemporary sources document Joseph's practice of plural marriage. Here are the sources that they cite. Now, if my comment section in recent months is anything to go by, I know there are some of you who will not like this. If that's you, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comments section. The rest of you could just subscribe or like or...
I appreciate Nemo wants people to talk about this issue. For me, this issue is one of the least important issues to talk about in Mormonism. It's literally a discussion that is not worth having as to whether Joseph Smith practiced plural marriage. This isn't a conversation that I want to have with anyone. So if you're a polygamy denier, you can just keep your comments to yourself, because it's like trying to discuss flat earth. It's the same as watching a flat earth debate. I have never watched a flat earth debate, nor will I ever watch a flat earth debate, because this isn't a debate that is even worth having. The evidence is so incredibly overwhelming that Joseph Smith practiced polygamy that it's not a conversation that I even want to have. And yet the people come into my comment sections time and time again to discuss this with me, and I find it to be a complete and utter waste of time. People who don't think that Joseph Smith practiced polygamy are delusional, fundamentally. End of story. Let's see what Jasmine has to say about this update here of the church and gospel topics. I'm sure she's going to give us some inspired reactions.
The church just barely released this article where they come out very strongly on polygamy denial. There's a small but growing cohort of individuals who insist that Joseph Smith never practiced polygamy, but rather Brigham Young introduced the practice after Joseph's death. They then try to have Brigham Young attribute the practice to Joseph Smith to give it legitimacy. The reality, though, is that the historical record does not support this, and the church has just come out saying as much. The article insists, yes, Joseph Smith introduced this practice. We have lots of documentation for this, and later faithful men and women gave sworn testimony of it.
Call me Jasmine, always towing the party line. Whatever Kool-Aid that the Mormon church leaders give to Jasmine, she will down it without question. Jasmine, so glad to have your insights here. Let's hear what else she has to say.
They emphasize that rather than deny this historical practice, we can apply principles found in this other article to help us better understand.
When it comes to Mormon epistemology, I don't think that we need to see what it's fundamentally flawed at a basic level. So no, we don't need to see how the church wants us to find the truth, because that's not a reliable pathway to truth.
I think the real rub is that the practice of plural marriage can make people deeply uncomfortable, understandably. But this theory is not grounded in good historical work, and instead of discarding or rewriting that history, I think we should earnestly grapple with it. And that's why the church has written these awesome topics articles in the Gospel Library app to help us more critically and faithfully evaluate questions that are challenging. You can learn more in the topics and questions section of the Gospel Library app and follow this account for more updates on church news.
Yeah, so she betrays what she said there about critically and faithfully. Every answer in the Gospel Topics essays is just about drinking more Kool-Aid. If you have to have faith and think critically, those two cannot, they have nothing to do with one another. Thinking critically is about rational skepticism, not in further indoctrination. So I think I have one more reaction to this, because this is actually a pretty big news article for the week out there from Dr. Benjamin Park here. Professor Park here, highlighting a particularly fascinating footnote in the LDS Church's new Q&A. Let's see what he's got to say about that.
Church's new question and answer page on plural marriage show modern anxieties on the topic, as well as a response to contemporary issues. Let's dig in. As part of their gospel topics and questions curriculum, the LDS Church released 3 new pages on questions and answers on controversial topics: the practice of polygamy, the translation of the Book of Mormon, and Joseph Smith's character. I'm going to do in-depth videos on each of these on my YouTube channel next week, but I thought I'd highlight today just one interesting aspect from the polygamy page. While the polygamy page has probably been in the works for quite some time, it's clear that it's in response to 2 anxieties: one long-standing, how to reconcile the historical facts of Joseph Smith's practice of polygamy with his image as a prophet, as well as a new anxiety, a response to the growing number of Latter-day Saints who deny that Joseph Smith ever practiced polygamy. So among the questions the page seeks to answer is, was polygamy introduced by Joseph Smith or Brigham Young? I don't think that question would have been asked a decade ago should they have done this page back then. And to provide evidence for Joseph Smith practicing polygamy, and I want to reaffirm that the broad scholarly consensus is that Joseph Smith introduced and practiced polygamy, they have this footnote, one of the most dense academic scholarly footnotes probably in the church's publication history. And if you look at that footnote and see the sources it's citing as evidence for Joseph Smith practicing polygamy, it includes the Nauvoo Expositor, the very newspaper that Joseph Smith destroyed, declaring it a public nuisance, and a newspaper that for a long time would have been dismissed as anti-Mormon propaganda.
Right.
I highlight this for 2 reasons. First, in responding to these polygamy deniers, is forcing the LDS Church to recognize historical sources and aspects that they had long denied.
Yep.
And second, I want to highlight the irony that it's okay for the church to approvingly cite the Nauvoo Expositor, while they're still not allowed to cite things like Dialogue, a Journal of Mormon Thought. Anyways, I'll have a longer analysis on this Q&A page on plural marriage going up on my YouTube channel on Monday, so watch for that.
Thanks a lot. Very interesting analysis there. We bring you the best and brightest minds discussing Mormonism. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the church's reaction to citing the Nauvoo Expositor. Anti-Mormons used to be filled with animus and totally inspired of the devil, and nothing that they said could be taken seriously. And now the church is citing them when it suits their purpose. I find that to be remarkable. If you can hit the subscription, you can hit the thumbs up, I'd be very grateful for that. And you can also find the Mormon News Roundup. We are on TikTok, we are on Instagram, we are on X, and we are on Facebook. You can find us on social media there with a lot more commentary. This also caught my eye here. This is absolutely disgusting here. A Mormon missionary tracting into somebody's house here. This is a couple of sister missionaries here, and they were treated very rudely. I just want to cover this. This is absolutely abhorrent. Look at this. This is disgraceful.
I just wanted to see if you would like to come worship with us this Sunday. Would you like to come to church with us?
Would y'all like to get off of this property in about 10 seconds flat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a good one.
Run, don't walk. Run. Hershey, get back here. That's not fast enough. That's not fast enough. That ain't fast enough, ladies. Go. I said go. I said go. Go. Go, go. Go, go. Go. Run. Run, run. Pray about it. Pray about it.
You like your friends?
But this is an absolutely disgraceful TikTok here where first of all, if you enter into somebody's property, if you don't want solicitors, all you have to do is just have a no trespassing sign up on your property and then nobody can come on. You can make your property private so that people don't come on. So if you don't want anyone or to come onto your property, just put up a sign, which I do not see any sign. Number two, if you listen carefully, you'll hear what appear to be BB gun shots. Listen to this. This is unbelievable. Listen again.
Hershey, get back here. That's not fast enough. That's not fast enough. That ain't fast enough, ladies. Go. I said go. I said go. Go. Go, go. Go, go. Go. Run. Run, run. Go.
You can hear him reloading what appears to be a BB gun or like one of those airsoft rifles.
Go, go. Go, go. Go. Run. Run, run. Pray about it. Pray about it.
You like your
Absolutely disgraceful behavior. You know, it's just the sister missionaries in particular are so vulnerable on this person's, on people's property here. A liberal man screams this while firing what sounded like a BB gun at two young girls, likely Mormon, who were simply going door to door, inviting people to worship on Sunday. Sure, most of us aren't thrilled when strangers knock on our doors for any reason, but this reaction is beyond appalling. And the irony is that he's part of a community that constantly demands respect, yet shows none in return. If the roles were reversed, it would be headline news on every major TV network. This is absolutely disgraceful behavior here. You're not obligated, by the way, to run off of somebody's property. If somebody asks you to leave private property, you are obligated to leave immediately. You're not obligated to run away. And the idea that you're going to fire, I don't know if he's shooting at them, shooting in the air. This is disgraceful. And, somebody should really do something about that. That caught my eye, and that's absolutely inappropriate. Now, a couple of other articles here. The church, once again, with the garment girlies here. Britty, the apostate, who's a big faithful watcher of the Mormon News Roundup, by the way. She says the church is the same yesterday, today, and forever, except now it slays when the restoration hits the runway and your garments. Oh, this is a satirical take on the new fashion garments here that the church has put out here. She has some very, very funny takes.
Girlies, guess what? I got the new LDS garments.
Really?
A friend of a friend's mom happens to live where we can buy them. I know they're not available right now in the U.S., but I was able to get them. So I paid like $200 to get mine shipped in. I'm renting them out for $5 a day. So It's actually like a surplus, and I get to pay tithing on that.
What?
So the church is actually benefiting from me renting my garments out, which is so cool. Now let me show you. I'll just show you the strap here so you can see it's just like way smaller. I know we used to say modest is hottest, but not anymore, girls. Actually, sleeveless is hottest. Aren't you excited? I'm really looking forward to getting the slip because I got an extra small so I can wear mini skirts with it. Gonna be so adorable. I'm excited because we're definitely gonna grow my family now that my husband gets to see me in these outfits.
Oh my
It'll help
gosh.
the church grow because we need more numbers, right, guys? And all my children are going to go on missions. So if you just think about how they'll exponentially grow the church, all because I have sleeveless shirts. I'm so glad the church came out with these so that my husband would be more attracted to me.
What?
He kept looking at porn, and we're not going to get into that.
Oh my gosh.
He looks at me now
Oh, okay.
because he can see my shoulders.
That's
Hey,
right.
garment girlies, guess what?
Obviously, that's a satirical take, but literally, there's hundreds of these type of videos that are floating around the internet, and maybe I should have done this in a slightly different order. But it's hilarious that she's charging rentals for these garments. But I'm going to show you. I regret how I did this, but I'm going to show you the actual influencer video here from Grace Evans, and I do have a video coming out about our favorite Mormon influencer, Grace Evans. Here, she's going to do the same thing, and she's actually going to show you her garments in ways that a lot of people won't. So those new sleeveless garments are still really, really hot items. Let's see what Grace has got.
I have the new garments, and everyone thinks I'm adjusting them. I've already showed the strap online on my Instagram and on my TikTok, but I can't beat the adjusting allegations. So I don't know what you people freaking want from me, but I'll show you again. Okay? This is the new garment.
Whoa.
This is me trying to stretch it out. That thing's teensy, okay? It works perfectly with this top. The amount of hate I've gotten for this, stupid. So dumb. You shouldn't be wearing a double extra small. Okay, well, I can. I'm 5'10". I weigh probably 135 pounds, maybe. A cups. She ain't got nothing going on here. Oh, God. I already wear a size extra small in my regular garments. The new ones? They are so stretchy. Look at this, okay? There's still like, it bunches up because I still have extra space. This is a double extra small. I honestly could go down another size, but I don't really feel like doing that because I don't care. I just don't know why I'm getting shamed for having the body size that I have. Sorry, Queen. Even at my heaviest, I was wearing like an extra small garment top. So, I don't know. I want to I'm also like not the spokesperson for the church. That's the whole, and it's annoying because people will comment and they're like, the church is fatphobic. And like they're mad at me for the way that the garments are sized. That's not my problem. Bring it up with P. Nelly. Like, yeah, could they maybe just fix the manufacturing a little bit? Sure. I literally can't do anything about that. So I don't know why you're sitting there hating on a video of me just saying, I love my outfit today. Get out of here. Go get a life. Go touch some grass. Or even better, instead of wasting your time commenting garbage on my videos, why don't you just go use that time and be productive and write a letter to the First Presidency if you want the garment sizes to change so that. No hate to all of my beautiful queens. Everyone's beautiful. And I really do mean that. But I'm sick of getting hated on for my body size. Let me live, please. I'm the healthiest I think I've been in literally forever. So we don't need to be comparing body sizes online. That's super freaking weird. So anyhow, I'm going to get canceled for posting this.
So well, these are two perfect encapsulations. I think I really brought you the exact zeitgeist here. First of all, I love that she calls President Nelson P. Nelly. That is the first time that I've heard that. That is absolutely pure. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to use that. She does not appreciate the haters out there. Whereas for me on the Mormon News Roundup, that's basically all that I have. So I got to embrace my audience and don't comment garbage on her video. Please don't do that. Instead of commenting garbage on her video, please write letters to the First Presidency. Like, what kind of fantasy world do you believe that you live in, that you think that the First Presidency cares about anything other than themselves, and then they're going to take your comment or your writing letters to them seriously? Anyway, these are two garment videos that are certainly very apropos. And by the way, is Grace Evans being compensated by the Mormon Church? She said she wasn't an official spokesperson. That's true, but is she getting money from the church? Because as we've commented in the last couple of weeks, it seems like the Mormon Church has been paying influencers. And the church has finally come out and admitted this. And this is really a revelation here. Well, actually, yes, this is from the Salt Lake Tribune here. They get money for the content that they create for the faith's use. The church official explains, not for their testimonies. What a subtle delineation. What, are you kidding me? If you're paying Mormon influencers, you're paying them for their testimony. What else are you paying them for? You know, it's one thing if you run, I don't know, a shoe company and you pay somebody to say, hey, I really like these shoes. I mean, that's to be expected, but it's ultimate cringe to tell someone, to pay someone to say that they have had a warm bosom feeling with the Mormon Jesus. That's absolute peak cringe. And now the church has admitted doing that. And no, I don't buy this spin that it's for their content, not for their testimonies. You're paying someone for their testimony here. This is her Instagram page. This is that back a couple of weeks ago. Her name is Eliza Stinson. I hope I'm saying that right. She is the CEO of a paper company and a content creator in Columbus, Ohio. Posted a video that gained more traction than she anticipated. She recounted receiving an email offering her a collaboration opportunity with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Stinson was confused about why she received the email because she had left the faith. Now, if you want to be caught up on that, go back 2 episodes ago. We covered that in great detail on the Mormon News Roundup. And this is what the church now has finally come out and been forced to admit. The church always never admits anything when they're supposed to. They only admit it when the leaked documents come out, when they're finally forced to the table because of the internet. So this is from the church's official statement here. The church does indeed pay content creators and do say publications that hire freelancers or businesses that contract for their social media. And check this out. Derek Westra is the director of reputation management for the LDS Church. Reputation management, let's come back to that in a minute, explained that the church has worked for many years with the marketing and advertising agencies on outreach campaigns such as Light the World and the 2014 film Meet the Mormons. Just a slight digression. I do have a Mormon movie review of the 2014 film Meet the Mormons right here on this channel that you might enjoy. Going back to the article, to determine whom they hire, Westra and his team vet individuals and content creators to ensure that they remain Latter-day Saints and that they produce material that aligns with the faith's values. After completing that process, the church enlists marketing agencies to bring on content creators as hired talent. This confirms absolutely everything that I told you about 3 weeks ago on this particular issue. I have been 100% vindicated for perhaps the first time in my entire life here. We have Derek Westra, the director of reputation management for the Mormon Church. That dude needs to be fired. The reputation of the church is in shambles. In survey after survey, Latter-day Saints are among the least favorable. People have the least favorable ratings of Latter-day Saints over virtually any other religion on the planet. The church has a massive PR stain on its eye, and I don't know if hiring these influencers is going to do very much, especially if they're like people like Grace Evans. So very interesting stuff here. Yes, influencers are out there. Now, speaking of content creation here, changing gears. This is what started off as a very slow news week, really picked up steam here. And everyone's favorite Mormon musician, Lindsey Stirling, has 4 million followers over there on Instagram here. Warning, this is a controversial post here. She has a massive following. She says, people love to speculate whether I'm still Mormon. On paper, it may seem like I'm not anymore because I actively support the gay community. I wear sleeveless shirts and now she drinks coffee. Oh my gosh. For way too long, I defined my connection to God by a huge list of rules that led to so much shame. I don't let shame govern me anymore. And surprisingly, I felt God's love more than ever. The fact is, I love my Mormon faith upbringing and the connection with God it gives me. I also love all the beautiful things I've learned from other religions. I think God gives truth everywhere. So y'all will just have to keep speculating and gossiping about whether or not I'm still Mormon because my coffee and I aren't going to tell. Well, unfortunately, I can't bring you that post because of copyright issues, but you really didn't miss much. I brought most of that to you. And of course, this has sent the Mormon Twitterverse into an absolute tizzy because somebody has actually filmed themselves drinking an iced coffee. Yes, this is going to cause a major meltdown in the world of Mormonism. Let's start with Bonky Xmo Musings first at Curtin McBonky over there on X. At Mormons, hashtag Mormons having a totally normal reaction to a complete stranger drinking a cup of coffee. Cue Jason sobbing while praying for Lindsey Stirling to repent for drinking coffee. And this is what she's reacting to author Jason James King here. It's not wrong to judge behavior and ideas. I don't judge Lindsey Stirling for drinking coffee, but drinking coffee is a sin for people in the covenant, and it does show that she is in rebellion, which is sad and wrong. I pray she will repent. See, if your thoughts and prayers, if you have to say an incantation to an imaginary deity because somebody is drinking the wrong bean, you really have you really should have better things to do in your life. That's for sure here. This is not a normal reaction. And no, drinking coffee is not a sin. Get a clue, Jason. And this is what I posted back here on some people here. Troy over there on at Black Blessed over there on X here. He says, I don't care what that violin girl Lindsay has decided to do with her life. That's absolutely disrespectful here. Man, calling her a girl, that's ridiculous. I do care about her seemingly minimizing what active Latter-day Saints believe to be important with the platform that she has. Oh, so sorry, Troy. Is this judging her? No. Is it my outrage over coffee? Laugh out loud? No. He says that she should repent here. So this is what I posted back here. Of course, you don't care what Lindsay does with her life. You don't follow Jesus's call to go after the one lost sheep. You care about yourself and your private club. Mormonism doesn't make people Christ-like. It makes them selfish. If Troy really believed that his path to salvation was the only true path, then he really would care, and he doesn't. I mean, this is absolutely reprehensible behavior over there on @BlackLust here. But yes, this caused a Mormon meltdown with the coffee thing. Now, as we know, folks, changing gears here, the Mormon Church has been doing a lot of baptisms, or relatively a number of baptisms in Africa. And I want to talk about Sierra Leone and what the church is doing there with the pictures that it's posting on its social media of these massive baptisms of multiple tens of people, even up to 100 people being baptized at the same time in Africa. They put this on all of their social media accounts here. And I found a reaction to that, which I find to be very interesting here at Unravel with Marima. Here, she talks about here where the Moriba town district in Sierra Leone welcomed 104 new members into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints through the sacred ordinance of baptism here. And she's going to give us some quick thoughts on the LDS Church's growth in Africa.
On the Mormon Stories podcast group, and I just wanted to respond to it here as well. I put a comment in there. Their response was, this looks like a cult because 104 people getting baptized all at once. It would be better if they all got baptized one by one, which I understand, but that's not what I took away from this. My takeaway is that this is modern day colonization. And yet the Mormon Church is probably not the only Christian organization that's in West Africa doing this, but it's a prominent one, and it's the one that I'm going to talk about because it's the one I grew up in. And I despise them for it. The fact, to add on top of that, that they have the audacity to have been historically saying members who look like this, look like me, were cursed of God because of our skin color, and not apologize for it, and then still be over there in West Africa in particular, growing the numbers, it pisses me off. So someone posted this on the Mormon.
I can definitely, at least in part, appreciate definitely what she's saying there, although that's something that I don't have very much lived experience with. But yes, the church is typically teaching these new African converts. They don't tell them about the history, the full history of the church. They're not going to tell them about the rice and the priesthood band. They're not going to tell them about the Brigham Young. They're just going to have a shiny Christian veneer of the church, and they're not even going to talk about Mormonism hardly at all until these people come to find out, some of these, especially these black members of the church, come to find out after they become members that the church had instituted a race and a priesthood ban after they become a member. And yes, I find this to be very reprehensible, and it is really a part of colonialization. Could not agree with this poster any more than that. I'm going to be following her for sure. Now, one thing that I haven't covered very much on the Mormon News Roundup is the Mormon trad wives. Again, maybe it's because this is not my demographic, but I got to cover the news here, and Alyssa Grunfeld is going to talk about Nara Smith, one of the most famous Mormon OG hashtag, if you want to call her a trad wife or not. I don't think she identifies as a trad wife, but anyway, just for putting labels on people, I guess you could call her that. And also Ballerina Farm. And she's going to talk about a prediction about the collaboration between these two. Let's check it out.
Multiple collaborations between Ballerina Farm and Nara Smith, and so here's my prediction for what happens with Nara next, coming from an ex-Mormon. Nara is married to Lucky Blue Smith, who's from Utah, and he's a generational Mormon. He also, I think, really does truly believe in Mormon doctrine. You don't go posting pictures of the Book of Mormon like this unless you actually believe. Lucky's sister, Piper America, also recently just got sealed in a Mormon temple, which means that his whole family is pretty Mormon. Lucky got famous as a model very young, and while he was doing things like taking pictures with Kylie Jenner, most of his closest friends were on Mormon missions. I think that Lucky really truly does believe in the church and has likely always had a sense of loss for what his friends were able to have in the church while he was off jet-setting as a model. This is where we get to where Nara and Lucky meet and start a family, and while Nara has said that she's not currently Mormon, I think it's only a matter of time before she will probably join. My prediction prediction based off of what they've been posting and the collaborations is that within the next year or two, Nara will get baptized, and then her and Lucky will get sealed in the temple with their kids, just like Lucky has always wanted.
Okay, well, I'm standing corrected. This is one of my gaps in my knowledge here. I wasn't aware that Nara Smith wasn't a Mormon. I really thought that she was a Mormon. I've seen her post pictures of church and things like that. I guess she's not a baptized member, but she is loosely affiliated with the church. I don't know all of the details here, but this is definitely a handsome couple. And Alyssa is bringing us very important information about how Nara and Ballerina Farm, who definitely is one of the OG Mormons out there, might do a potential future collaboration. You know, Lucky Blue Smith and her, talk about a handsome couple. My gosh, boy, there's a reason that they have gone viral and I have not. That much is for sure. Now, A24, who brought us Heretic, has dropped a new trailer and they are picking up the gauntlet here about another Mormon themed movie here starring Ms. Olsen here. This one's called Eternity. And if it's as good as Heretic, boy, that is going to be really something. And by the way, you can find my review of Heretic on the Mormon movie reviews right here on this channel. And I really think it is one of my best reviews here. But let's check out what's going on with this new official trailer here of Eternity.
Guess you weren't expecting it.
What the hell is going on?
We have now reached the junction.
Well, I guess the surgery didn't go so well.
You've passed away, Larry.
Who are you?
I'm Anna. I'm your afterlife coordinator.
That's not a job.
And this is the junction, where you choose one place to spend eternity.
You want a little sniffle?
And who to spend it with.
Joan!
I was in bed and then I...
You look amazing. I have shocking news. You're dead. Yeah, how'd you know?
It took him forever to figure that out.
Excuse me. I've been waiting for this golden goose for 67 goddamn years. It's a lot to absorb, so I highly recommend just taking a deep breath in and out. Just breathe.
I never dreamt you this clearly.
You're exactly how I dreamt you. Oh, no.
Who's this guy? First husband. He died in a war.
Joan, you alright? Honey. I know this is a lot, but don't worry, I've been doing the research.
Larry!
What do you mean, Larry? We were together a week ago.
Well, a lot has happened in a week. You died, I died, I just been reunited with both of my dead husbands, and I have to pick where to spend eternity. You waited 67 years.
When eternity's on the line, seems like nothing.
It's a good opener.
You're a lurker, pal. You're waiting beyond to spoil a half a century of marriage.
It's not a competition.
Yes, it is.
Sweetheart, it's 100% for sure a competition.
It is in fact a competition.
That's literally what we're here for.
I wanted you to have a life, but I wanted us to have a chance to have one too.
That is so romantic.
I can be romantic. I don't care where we end up. Just as long as we're together.
You're going to have to remind her of why she fell in love with you.
Knowing you're happy makes me happy.
Eternity is a long time to have regrets.
So, have you chosen your eternity?
Okay, sorry, folks. I thought that this was going to be slightly more Mormon related than this. I mean, it is tangentially related to Mormonism because it does remind me of a Mormon afterlife, especially for women who might go to who, according to Mormon doctrine, are going to go to the afterlife and then could be sealed to, her husband would be sealed to multiple wives. I thought that this would be a little bit more Mormon related, so I apologize if that was not perfectly Mormon for you. But anyway, that's a very interesting movie, and I certainly will be watching. I'm a big fan of A24. Now, we've got to transition. Our last part of the show here is all going to be talking about a number of abuses here, which is why I have my moniker here, Scandal Collector 420. First of all, there's been a terrible abuse scandal in an elderly West Jordan man arrested and accused of essaying a young girl here. And this is what floodlit.org is bringing to us here. The Mormon-owned KSL omits the church's name from a news on a suspected SA case. They talked about the arrest of Ronald Charles Jones of West Jordan, Utah, but they took out the person's church affiliation. See, the KSL is owned by the church, and whenever there's something that reflects badly on the church, it gets sanitized out of there. That is why you cannot trust any of the church's propaganda news sources, because they will not bring you the full information. And this was brought to my attention by Rebecca Biblioteca of the Mormonish podcast.
Why do you think the LDS affiliated news station KSL has such a hard time reporting when somebody is LDS? There is a recent extremely disturbing article that came out just yesterday about an elderly gentleman who lured a young girl on her bicycle, she's under the age of 8, to his house with the promise of candy, and then sexually assaulted her. In the article on KSL, it says he is an influential member of his church. So when I first read it, I thought, okay, well, I don't know for sure that he's LDS, although chances are he probably is, given that he's in West Jordan. Then I saw the police report that Floodlit made public, and it clearly says on the police report that he is an influential member of the LDS church. So why not report that in the article, especially if there are other victims or people that need to be aware in that ward in the LDS church? The other thing was interesting in the KSL article. It did say that this gentleman, the influential member of the unnamed church, had been arrested in 1990 for solicitation. Okay, that's kind of interesting. On the police report, it says that not only was he arrested in 1990, but he was also arrested in 1995. I'm not sure why KSL would leave that out. Now, I had a chance to look at this gentleman's church resume, and it's true. He was a bishop 2 times. He was a stake president. He was a counselor in a stake. He was an executive secretary. After those 2 arrests for solicitations in 1990 and 95, he also was a counselor in the Palmyra Temple, and as I understand it, served as a sealer. This is after those arrests for solicitations. I guess they don't make a little annotation on your record for that, only if you are a member of the LGBTQ community. Interesting.
Right.
So I guess I just have the question that when you're reporting things, should you not, if you're using a police report to get your information, just simply report what's on the police report. Of course, everything is alleged, but there is this official police report. Other news outlets did report that this was a member of the LDS church, that this did involve an LDS ward. And again, I think it's just for safety. It's so that other people in this ward or in this area can be made aware of this gentleman and the allegations, and there could be other victims. What do you guys think about non-reporting on KSL?
That's a very, very good article here. And here is this alleged SA abuser, former stake president and bishop, and a sealer in the temple, a army veteran, I guess, of the Vietnam War here. This is absolutely reprehensible behavior, especially from the church in his service timeline here. He had all of these incredibly high callings, but he had arrests prior to that. That's absolutely disturbing. And the church, with the fact that KSL refused to say that his church affiliation, that's absolutely shameful. That's why you cannot trust the Mormon Church ever. You really can't, because they will not bring you the truth, not only in their doctrines, but also in their news articles. We want to bring you an update also of another case here. We covered this a couple of weeks ago here. This is a child predator here who served a mission to Tonga, and this was from the Mormon newscast here. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but they called him called to perv here. He was arrested after after abusing a number of minors here, and the Mormon Church has responded to these particular allegations against the American missionary accused of abusing Tongan boys here. And this does discuss SA of children. It claims that it is unclear. This is the church saying that they are unclear whether an American missionary who allegedly SA'd boys in Tonga did so under their roof. Okay, let's hear what they have to say. Richard Hunter, the Mormon Church's spokesperson for the Pacific area, said the organization was taking the allegations very seriously. Quote, "It is unclear at this stage if he was involved in abuse as a missionary with us. My colleague in Tonga are unaware of this until now," said Hunter, who is based in Auckland. However, Richard Hunter admitted that it was absolutely possible that offending did occur while he was working with children on his mission. If our mission leaders in Tonga were aware of this, he would have been sent home immediately for breaking both the law and the commandments of God. We feel very sad for those whose lives have been impacted so horrendously. I'm hoping there will be opportunities in Tonga for victims to receive love and support from our congregations. And this is what the church usually gives, is love and support, instead of financial resources or opening up things that help survivors in these particular situations. The church is, instead of any real action here, the church is just going to send thoughts and prayers, which I find to be rather reprehensible. Now, the another article here that came out that was also just talking about Mormons behaving badly here was the Colorado dentist who was convicted of murder in his wife's death. This has reached a gruesome conclusion here that brought to us by NBC News. This was a national news story. We only have 2 more articles to take you out, and this is our second to the last one.
We are getting a verdict in the murder trial of a Colorado dentist accused of killing his wife by poisoning her protein shakes. He has been found guilty on 6 of 7 counts, including murder in the first degree.
And of course, he was LDS. I just want to make sure we are covering that.
NBC News correspondent Camilla Bernal joins me now with more. Also with us is defense attorney and NBC News legal analyst Misty Maris. But Camilla, let me start with you. What did we hear in court just now?
We just heard a lot of guilty verdicts. So the most serious of them being that murder charge. He was accused of killing his wife with numerous poisons, including putting eye drops in her protein shakes. And the jury found that he did so. He planned it deliberately and caused his wife of 23 years to die at the hospital. So along with that murder charge, which is the one that carries life in prison without the possibility of parole, there were other charges related to some of his behavior in prison, including asking people to essentially testify for him in a way that obviously was not right, and asking people, including his daughter, to alter some of the evidence in this case. He had asked his daughter to make a deep fake video of his now late wife, essentially asking for these poisons. So the jury found him guilty of all of these charges, which included tampering with evidence and perjury and solicitation of first-degree murder, because he also, as he talked to other inmates, tried to get some of the people involved in this case killed. That included the lead detective in this case. So the jury found him guilty of all of those charges and then found him not guilty of aiding in suicide. And this was a big part of the defense. They had argued that Angela essentially was broken, that she had been broken because of the fact that he cheated on her so many times. And because of that, they had argued that she actually decided or wanted to die by suicide. The jury finding that that was not the case and finding him not guilty of aiding in that suicide. So a lot of different charges here, most of them guilty. And again, the jury took this case yesterday. They deliberated throughout the day today, and then came back with this mostly guilty verdict for this former Colorado dentist who has been accused and found guilty of poisoning his wife with just a number of poisons. It was just incredible to watch this trial and to watch the closing arguments as the prosecution laid out this case and really pointed to all of these different poisons and even said, you know, who goes out in the middle of the night to buy 12 different bottles of eye drops? These were poisons that did not taste or did not smell, so that he was able to put them in. He used the pills, that he changed the pills essentially for poison, pills that she was taking, and also put the poison into her IV, which is what prosecutors believe essentially led to her death. So a lot of details in this case, and the jury now, Kristen, finding him guilty of killing his wife.
We thank you for watching.
Oh, yes.
What are
Sorry about that. Yes. Now, I believe that we are still waiting for the sentencing on this particular case here. Absolutely reprehensible. This is one messed up dude. Boy, this is absolutely sick here. And of course, he was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I do not know if he is still a member or not. Wow, that absolutely turns my stomach. Absolutely reprehensible. Now, the final article and our featured news article is a big bombshell which came out of Arizona this week here. And this is brought to us again by floodlit.org. If you don't follow them on X and if you don't support them, you're really missing out here, because this has been absolutely huge here. The Mormon Church, does it consider SA a serious injury? This is a big article here. Yesterday, the Arizona Court of Appeals reinstated an SA lawsuit against the Mormon Church, citing the church's leadership handbook, which says that the prevention of serious injury is a justifiable reason for a bishop or stake president to disclose confidential information without seeking guidance. And this is taking us way back here to the AP sex abuse case, all the way back in with Michael Resendez of a couple of years ago. That died when it was at the Arizona Supreme Court. And the family at that time was not 100% convinced. And this is from my reporting, I guess you want to call it reporting, from about a year ago. The family was not 100% convinced that they were going to continue on to appeal this up to the District Appeals court here. And now the Arizona Court of Appeals has reinstated the lawsuit against the Mormon Church because of this particular handbook. This is a really big deal because this made national news story here this is a picture here of Paul Adams, who was a disgusting abuser. And he had two of his children who unfortunately he abused for a long period of time. You reported that to not one, but two Mormon bishops who called the church's so-called helpline. Those bishops were told not to report this to law enforcement, and the abuse continued until Mr. Adams posted his disgusting videos on the internet until they were finally taken down. He committed suicide in jail. Even his wife went to prison, I believe, for a period of, I believe it was 2 years, as memory serves. This was a horrible case here, and the Mormon Church rejoiced when this case was thrown out, saying that it was a great victory for the church. And now this has been reinstated, so this is a big deal. This is going to make national headlines here. Let me give you some reporting from Arizona here, which is the court reopens the LDS Church's case on alleged failures to report SA.
A recent ruling by the Arizona Court of Appeals has reopened a case involving the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and allegations of child abuse reporting failures. Today, we learn the court has reversed a decision that had favored the church back in 2021. Now, this now allows the sexual abuse case to proceed further after it was brought. Now, the case revolves around Paul Adams, a churchgoer who confessed to a bishop back in 2011 that he had sexually abused his daughter. We're told the bishop did not report the abuse to authorities. Despite being excommunicated, documents reveal Adams' abuse continued up until his arrest in 2017. In 2021, the minor involved sued the church, claiming they were legally obligated to report the abuse. That year, the judge ruled in favor of the church. Now, after this new ruling, the case is set for further proceedings, which could impact how religious organizations handle similar situations coming in the future.
Yes, this is obviously a huge story that is going to make national news. There's no doubt about that. I'm glad to see that this case will have additional proceedings and that it will continue to go forward. I do have a reaction here of this particular case here from Rebecca Biblioteca. Let me get that for you.
The high-profile child abuse case in Arizona that was ongoing back in 2022 decided in November of 2023 against the plaintiffs who were suing the LDS Church over a non-reporting issue. Their father, Paul Adams, had been abusing them. It was an atrocious case. I think most of you are familiar with the details. And the bishop knew. He confessed to the bishop. The bishop did not report.
Right. In fact, there was two bishops.
The victims took the church to court, and in November of 2023, the case was dismissed. It's back on. In a unanimous decision, an Arizona appeals court reversed a Superior Court judge's ruling that a bishop of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has no duty to report allegations of sexual abuse to law enforcement. They ruled that the unique circumstances of the father's confession should allow the case to go on in appeal.
Right. And really, I think the crux of the matter is that it was continuing abuse. I mean, this was abuse that went on for a period of 7 years. Absolutely reprehensible here. I have one more news article on this particular case here that I want to bring to you here, because this is really making a lot of national news here.
Also, a developing story tonight, a child sex abuse case. News 4 Tucson has been following closely for years now. It's against Mormon Church officials in Cochise County, and it now has new life after a decision by the Arizona Court of Appeals. News 4 Tucson's Jacob Owens spoke to one of the lawyers who's been battling the church for years in this case. Jacob, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Sean, this decision by the Arizona Court of Appeals has reinstated a child sexual abuse lawsuit against the Mormon Church, as well as members of the church in Cochise County. The decision reverses a lower court's ruling that dismissed a sex abuse lawsuit against church officials. Previously, the church successfully argued that bishops were unaware of then-member Paul Adams' sexual abuse of his children outside of protected communications, including confession. The appeals court did not agree, opening the case now for a trial.
This decision renewed my faith in the legal system. This Mormon church tried to say that the church had a religious right to conceal sex abuse of children they knew about and children they cared for.
News 4 Tucson reached out to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for comment. We're still awaiting their response.
Very interesting stuff here. I'm really glad to see that this case is going to be reinstated here, and that's a real win, hopefully, for these survivors here. My heart definitely goes out to them. This is from over there, a couple of reactions on X here. At Mound Builder here, it said the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints said it had the chance to stop the abuse. Instead, they hid behind, quote, clergy privilege, end quote, and let the horrors continue. Now, an Arizona court says that they can be sued for it. I think this is a good win for survivors, and I hope that other religions and other people take this case to heart. I was saying that we don't need to report or help victims of abuse because of so-called clergy penitent privilege. I hope that those clergy penitent privilege people will think long and hard about this now that the church is being brought to the table, kicking and screaming for accountability. Folks, we've reached the end of the broadcast. I really appreciate you being here. Try to get you out of here in an hour. I want to thank those people who support the Mormon News Roundup. On Patreon, we have Scab, Bob, RMW, David, Blaine, Brent, and Sophronia, especially Sophronia. Thanks so much. And over there on YouTube memberships, we have MRX, Starla, Jeffrey, Garrick, and longtime supporter Lee. Thanks so much for supporting the Mormon News Roundup. That means a great deal to me. Thanks so much for ruminating with me on the great and spacious beehive. Always think celestial, and remember, no unhallowed hand can stop the Mormon News Roundup from progressing.
From the crossroads of the East, where the headlines never sleep, Divez takes the mic, diving in so bold and deep. With talent on loan from Collab, you know he's got the view, bringing latter-day Saint gossip and the latest breaking news. Mormon News Roundup, tune in and see controversies, drama, and theocracy. Live Sunday nights at 9:30 ST from Washington, D.C., where the truth runs free. Prophets, apostles, and scandals galore, tit and cash stacks, and a whole lot more. History, doctrine, we pull back the veil, exposing the facts and the tall tale trails. What? So grab your popcorn, bring a friend. This is the show where the spin will end. Laugh, debate, don't miss a beat. Divez is here to